when you're in the thick of it and your baby isn't sleeping and you've tried everything and you realize that you're exhausted and you haven't touched your partner in a while. You don't, like, you look in the mirror and you don't recognize yourself. You have no idea who you are. I expected, like, oh, I'm gonna get pregnant, I'm gonna have my baby, and then it's just gonna be fun. I wasn't prepared for gaining 60 pounds. I wasn't prepared to, go back into the gym and not even be able to do a squat.
I thought, from a man perspective, I thought my extracurricular activities would have been through the window. I thought that because I was good, that you were good. Welcome to another episode of the Imperfect Walk. I'm excited to have this conversation today.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one. We're going to be talking about marriage after children. Because last episode, we talked about how we built a marriage at 23 years old. And this episode, now we have 2 young children. We've been married a couple years, and we want to talk about marriage with children because it's different. It's a whole different ball game being in a relationship with someone, and it's just you and that person versus now you have little beings and creatures that you have to keep alive and take care of. And there's just so much that goes into that.
Absolutely. Other stuff that you're not prepared for. As I mentioned, when we did our intro, the first episode was giving tangible things that people can take away that a lot of people wish they knew. And I think, especially with us at a young age, we're just talking from our perspective.
Yeah,
At
and
the
we
end
hope
of it,
that some of you may walk away with keys or systems or, just something that may spark something that will help your marriage or help you be a better parent or help you in some way. We're confident that this conversation will give you something to walk away from better.
and we also welcome disagreements. If
Mm.
there's something we say you disagreed with, let us know. That's totally fine. Everyone have their own opinions on a lot of different things, and we're not the type of people to shun someone for having a different opinion. We'd actually want to learn what your opinions are, what things, because maybe there are things that you know that that is way better than what we knew, and we can actually incorporate that in our own lives as well. So we're always willing to learn from other people as well. Like we said, this is imperfect. Well, nothing we do or say is perfect. These are just things that we did during our time.
Mm-hmm.
And we love to learn what you guys are doing. So if there's better methods, we would love to learn those methods as well. And if there's anything that's helpful, we'd like to know what was helpful to you. So
Yeah.
let's jump into the questions, the discussion points, and roll with it.
Yeah. I guess the first question, what did you think marriage after kids would be like before we had them?
That's a good question.
Mm-hmm.
What do you feel marriage would have looked like
Yeah.
with kids before you had them?
And how did that expectation hold up to reality?
Honestly, I thought it would have been chaotic. And the reason being is that we we weren't expecting kids. We weren't planning for kids. Is that the if I put it that way?
Yeah.
And just being older siblings,
Yeah.
being the oldest sibling, seeing like nieces, not I don't have no niece and nephews, but seeing like cousins, younger cousins and stuff, just seeing how my mom was with kids, my parents, seeing aunts and uncles with kids as well. I was like, these guys are handful. So I thought that sometimes I thought, no, this is gonna be a journey. It did not, and there's 2 things that happened afterwards. One, it did live up to the expectation of this was gonna be a journey. But the
Yeah.
one thing that was surprising me was that I thought that I would not be ready for it, but you're not ready until it actually you not don't know if you're ready until that time comes because God won't put you in a situation you know you can't handle.
Yeah.
And when those kids came, it's like I automatically knew what I had to do. And it wasn't as hard as I think. Some days were hard than some. Like when Mario was born, him not being able to be put down at all when he sleep, but we figured it out
Yeah.
in many ways. Either we slept with him, when he was on the swing, someone was awake with him.
Mhm.
I remember nights when I would just try to stay up or I would try to sleep
So for context, we
Mhm.
have a 2.5-year-old right now
Right?
and a 1-year-old.
Mm,
Yeah. So Romario is our first kid, our son, the older boy, and then our younger one is a girl.
right. Yes, can't forget the context.
Yeah. And
But
he was very difficult to sleep the first couple months and then super easy.
absolutely. As I was saying too as well is that there's a lot of curveball that will come your way. So I just knew from the beginning, day one, that I'm gonna go into unknown territory,
Mm.
and it's gonna be a change in everything for me. So it definitely didn't hold back on that side of things, but
Yeah.
I think I overplayed it with since I thought it was gonna be a lot more chaotic and harder than I thought. But it wasn't that.
Mhm.
Because at the end of the day, they're small humans.
Yeah.
And as long as we can take care of ourselves, we can take care of a little baby.
I thought it was gonna be a lot easier.
We see that's what we had opposite thinking because I
It's
thought
so much easier.
I just
Boy,
knew
was I
how babies
wrong.
were. I just knew how babies were.
See, I didn't because I didn't grow up with babies.
Right.
I didn't grow up with young kids.
Now, where did you get that idea that it was gonna be easy? What baby did you see
I
that
think
was
just watching social media makes you think that it's easy,
mm,
but when you're in the thick of it and your baby isn't sleeping and you've tried everything and you realize that you're exhausted and you haven't touched your partner in, a while and all these different things and you don't like you look in the mirror and you don't recognize yourself. You have no idea who you are and like there's so much and I think women carry that a little bit more on that side of things, but I didn't expect all of that. I expected like, "Oh, I'm gonna get pregnant, I'm gonna have my baby, and then it's just gonna be fun, and then, it'll be a little difficult, but let's figure it out." I wasn't prepared for being here at home full time on mat leave, spending my entire day trying different methods to get my baby to sleep by themselves. 20 minutes. I wasn't prepared for that. I wasn't prepared for gaining 60 pounds and having stretch marks on my body at like 23 years old. I was not prepared for that. And I wasn't prepared for just the feeling of like sadness that came after birth. That was, they call it like baby blues. Your hormonal change is very big. And so I wasn't prepared for that. I wasn't prepared to, go back into the gym and not even be able to do a squat because your body just hurts in so many different areas. Like I wasn't prepared for any of those things. So I think that's why I found it more difficult. Yeah, the second one was like pretty good, but the first one was very difficult.
yeah, because experience. And I think you can talk into it from like two different standpoints. You can talk it from the male perspective and you can talk it from the female's perspective.
Mhm.
Because a lot of that stuff was from the mom side. The
Mhm.
mom endures a lot when it comes to that, when it comes to children. Especially when they stay at home, whether you're either with the kids all day or you have to be balance your kids and your job. It's
Can't imagine.
that's a lot. That's a lot. And
There's
from
people in the US, like women who go back to work 4 to 6 weeks after having a baby because the US doesn't pay them like they
yeah,
do here.
yeah, no, yeah. So on a man's standpoint, from what I thought was I was gonna lose out on every extracurricular activity that I have. But then with sometimes I think of family trips. I think of like us doing like cute little picnics and all kinds of stuff with kids or
Yeah.
doing fun adventures and stuff like this. Just still things you can still do, but in the midst of the chaos, it's not as easy as you think. Things can be planned and stuff like that, but it's not as easy as you think to get all of those planned and
Yeah.
sorted out. Now, I thought, from a man perspective, I thought that all my extracurricular activities, that was not English. All my extracurricular activities would have been through the window.
Yeah.
So no sports, no gym. It would just be family. It would just be work, home, spend time with my family, work, home, spend time with my family business, work,
Mhm.
home, spend time, and then because a lot of time will have to be poured into my family, and I just think I would never had that time. But with the proper systems, what I realized, you can be able to have a balance where you keep your priorities as priorities
Mhm.
and you can still have that time to yourself because
Yeah.
it's like everyone need that self medication, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
Everybody need that thing that they can go to for that self regulation.
Yeah, but I do wanna speak to the moms
Hmm.
and also the dads because there is a sense of, I don't wanna say jealousy, but loneliness and, in a way, jealousy that comes with being a mother. Because, yes, you can keep your extracurriculars as a dad, but a lot of women feel very lost after having children. Like, maybe they don't have the same passions that they did for the stuff they loved before kids. Maybe they, don't look the same. Maybe they don't feel the same and they can't do the same things. Versus a dad can just go out there and play a soccer game, a basketball game, whatever game, and it's just back to normal for him. Like, there's no, transition. Versus there's a lot of women who grieve because it seems like the husband or the dad, his life is very impacted very little comparison to maybe a mom who's in like deep postpartum depression and her entire life is just different. And so like with the proper systems, as a dad, you absolutely should maintain things that you love to a certain degree as long as your wife is covered. And that just comes with leadership. Like if you're leading in your home while you're there and you're leading in your marriage while you're there, I think that allows the space for you to then go and do your thing and your wife isn't going to be feeling forgotten. Because if, you know, the dad goes to work and she's at home with the kid and the dad goes to this and then she's at home with the kid and then he comes home and then he's tired and, he does his thing and there's no extra. I think it's easy because I see a lot of moms talk about it online for women to just feel so lonely. But I think if a man is in his, leadership in different areas, then she doesn't feel like that.
I know in the beginning it was definitely a lot of that. Uh, When we first had our boy, I did not understand or know any of that. We were young. I
Yeah.
was just like, all right, back to normal, back to life, not thinking about what you were experiencing. I'm like, okay, you're at home, you're staying at home with the kid. Probably gonna be great. You're good. I can continue living my life, doing my thing, and then you can do your thing as well once in a while. But not knowing a lot of those underlying things, because then you
Yeah.
will be like, because you will want to know like what to do. And I'm like, what do you mean? Because go and do something. Because for me, I was like, I can go play some basketball. I can go play soccer. I can go hang out with my friends and stuff like that. I'm like, you go do the same thing.
Yeah.
Go to the gym, go do this, go do that. But you can do those things if you wanted to, but it's more than that. There's a lot of other things that have to go along with that. And it's easy to make at that time, it will look like I was putting my priorities over my family at the end of the day because those subconsciously I wasn't thinking like that. It just comes that off that way
Yeah.
because I wasn't thinking about what you were going through at that time. I thought that because I was good, that you were good. I didn't take the time to understand, hey, what's actually going on. But after the 50 million reels you sent me, I start to understand. And after the conversation we had, I started to understand a little bit more. But it's more than just understanding. It's that leadership. And then
It's understanding, but then acting.
exactly, I'm walking in faith and taking up that
Hmm.
mantle and having that spiritual covering over you. And I think after Genesis, our baby girl,
Yeah.
is when we realized I started to grow in that aspect. I started growing more in faith, walking more in faith. And that I started, being more of a spiritual leader over you.
Hmm.
And I think that's the one where it was more of like a peaceful, actually, that led to more peaceful birth. You were
Yeah.
more at peace after that one. There was no postpartum depression. And it was more understanding there where I understand when things need to be put on a back burner versus when it didn't.
Mm.
And I didn't get because it was so when Genesis was being born. I had a finals that day. I had a soccer game finals.
Did you?
I had a finals, yeah.
No.
I had a finals
You had the finals the day before.
the day before.
Because the day of, I went to go see my friends that night. Remember, for dinner?
Yes.
So it wasn't that night.
It was no, it was the same. Because Jess was born on the Saturday, right?
She's born on a Tuesday.
That's a Tuesday?
Yeah. No, you had just played a soccer game like like the day before because I have pictures. I remember getting contractions, like prodromal labor contractions while I was watching your game. And I was there with your two siblings and you were playing a game,
Because
soccer game.
I'm pretty sure I played on Fridays and I had a finals that was coming up and I had to skip the finals.
You had a finals the following Friday.
Right.
So this was like a Tuesday or a Wednesday that she was born, maybe like a Wednesday, and you had your finals on that Friday.
Gotcha. So I had the finals coming up
Yeah.
and I chose not to play it.
Mm.
Still, because I'm still learning everything, I was kind of a little bit like, darn, like I don't get to play, not really thinking, knowing that this is a blessing. But at that time, I was just like, but it was not a hard decision to make. It was a somewhat easier decision to make. You had a toddler running
No
around
way.
and a 3-day old, and I would leave you with those two kids while I go play soccer.
So it's just like about a season. So
Yeah.
back to you leading spiritually though, because you touched on that and I wanted to touch on that. You leading spiritually to me looks like a lot of the things that you do now, which is, you're like, okay, I have this week's Bible reading planned. Like, let's sit down and do it. Or you sitting down at the table and reading your word, then I'm like, I should go sit down with him and read my word, right? And that's just leadership. Like, that's just when you're a leader in any field of life, you go first. You do it first. You take the hit first, you do the thing first. So, um, we just, and so that's what it looks like for me is you planning those things, and then you leading romantically looks like taking charge on dates, and for dads out there, these things are so important, especially after you have kids, because, your wife just is going to lose sense of who she is at some point, and she's going to need you more than ever after babies.
And it's easy as men to get caught up in the chaos and forget to plan these things. You just be so much going on because with men, what we think is very one dimensional. So when we focus on one thing, focus on one thing, and then we forget a lot of the other things, a lot of the priorities. I think a lot of us now forget how to date our wives, in many ways. So it's like that piece get neglected, and it's a very important piece. Again, it's having that conversation, making it a priority, where they put it in your calendar, put in a reminder. Because
Yeah.
one thing that you said so key is we can find the time for sports. You can find the time. But
Hmm.
then I think one of the things that kind of blocks some men as well, I know what it did for me at some point is now, okay, having to think about the logistics of everything. Got to make sure I find a babysitter. Got to find a place. Got to make sure the finances in place for all this stuff. And we make it harder than it's supposed to be. And then I think that's also kind of realization to understand how the woman brains work, because that's how the woman's brain work 24/7 in a lot of different areas. And I think when we get a taste of that, we crash and we're like, yeah,
I can't
I'd
handle it.
rather just not do it. It rather go the route of not doing it. So I think that's where a lot of things we just got to continue to develop and work on,
Hmm.
and just find that time to date your wife.
Yeah.
Go back to that phase.
So I think I have, a game plan that if you are a couple, maybe you're dating and you're not married, or, you want children in the future, or you're married and you have kids, like whatever your situation is, this is the game plan that I would have now telling my like 4 years ago self this, like both of us, if I could sit down with the two of us and give a game plan, this is what it would be. Number one, going into labor and giving birth and stuff like that, while you're pregnant and everything, I feel like most of the stuff stays the same, like most of the stuff stays pretty similar. Yes, you're pregnant, you have a lot of things as a woman, but your birth plan should include a postpartum plan. Like that's the most important part of a birth plan, in my opinion, is the postpartum plan. Like no one told me that. I came up with that myself because I'm such a blueprint and I wanted to plan it all out. And we had a breakfast date. I don't know if you remember, we had a breakfast date
Yes.
and we went over my entire birth plan and my entire postpartum plan. And that literally set us up for success. And just, yeah, you have your birth plan, but then, okay, once you give birth, what do you want things to look like? And I think there, as men, you have a huge opportunity to step in and see exactly what your wife needs. Okay, what do you need from me? Like, what do you need me to be doing? And just have it written down on a piece of paper, like a PDF, so that both of you guys are clear of what to expect and what you need from each other. And maybe that includes like a small little date night once a month for the first couple months, or a small little date night once a week, I would say. I would say like you should have a date night every single week, whether that looks like you going out, and that's probably not going to look like that with young children all the time, or you just sitting down and playing card games, or sitting down and, ask ChatGPT for deep conversational questions to ask each other while you do coloring or make pizzas together, like whatever it is, there's so many options. So I think once a week, having that small little time, even right postpartum, you can have something small and intimate. It doesn't have to be big. And then you just continue to grow on it. You know, husbands, like what do you need from your wives? And also communicate that side of things. And maybe don't expect that much for the first 3 months of your baby being born, but then after that, women have a little bit more of the ability to give after that point, I feel like. But just having that postpartum plan and just knowing what to expect, I think that's like a groundwork for welcoming children into your life and into your marriage. And I think from there is just having checkpoints and checking up on like, okay, what do I need? What do I need from you? What do you need from me? What am I doing good? And what are you doing good? And what could you improve on? And we've had a lot of those like
Yeah.
weekly check-ins. Doesn't always happen weekly, but maybe monthly check-ins, and just seeing where we're at and what we can get better at. And I think those are fundamental for any relationship,
Absolutely.
because then you can figure out what to work on, what to improve on and stuff. So that's what I would tell myself 4 years ago. It's like, have that and do that.
Absolutely.
I think a couple things for men leading that I wanted to touch on are, because I touched on like what it kind of looks like leading spiritually, what that looks like. And romantically, that's up to your wife and whatever what's her love language and what is she like, and what did you used to do for her before kids, and those things should continue, and like making sure taking charge on the date nights, right?
Mhm.
Like, but I think the most important thing is the mental load and leading with the mental load, because I think that's the number one thing that has enabled me to be a better version of myself and just helped our marriage overall. And is like taking leadership with mental load and what that looks like. And I know for us, when we first moved in together and we had our first son, it was a little tougher. I feel like we didn't necessarily know everything. We had a lot of learning curves to do
Yeah.
versus now where I'm going to the gym, I'm serving as a youth leader at church. I'm, working part time now. And even if I'm not working part time, like whatever that might be filled with, maybe going seeing some friends or whatever, because I'm not always going to be working part time, but is the ability to come home and know that you would have done what I would have done if I was there. If that makes sense. That's really what it is. It's just the ability to know as a woman, and this allows a woman to be calm and feel safe and be more feminine and then be more loving and then therefore husband gets more love is like the ability to know that if I'm not home,
Things are taken care of.
things are taken care of, right? That mental load,
Because I
that's
remember
the biggest thing.
there was time where I'll just be passed out on the couch and the dishes and everything is still crazy. And you're like, oh, why? 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 So then
Yeah.
sometimes it's kind of like before in the past, I think that's where you came home thinking or anticipating, like, okay, let me just keep in my mind that it's a mess. And then if it is, I'm aware of it. If it's not, I'll be surprised and I'll be happy. So, but now it's like the norm now.
Yeah.
It's an expectation now to the point where if it's not done, it's gonna be a question of like, oh, something happened, or if is he okay, or something like that. Because now it's the norm,
Mm.
right? That took time to build up. So at the end
Yeah.
of the day, I think it's just giving yourself grace as well.
But if you don't have kids yet and or you do have kids, understanding that you have to be an equal partner. You have to see your house as your house as well. And if there's things that need to get done, you just need to do them. Like yes, there are roles within the Christian, like if you're looking at it biblically, but nowhere does it say anywhere. It says that a wife is a man's helper, right? So nowhere does it say that women should be a full-time mom and a full-time cleaner and a full-time this and a full-time that and all these different things. And you just can't do that as a woman. And if you do, because there are single moms that do it, they are not in a soft feminine energy, I feel like. Like, I feel like they're always stressed. And I know because my mom was one and she was always stressed. She was always on edge. She was always had to be the dad and the mom. And so just understanding now I can just sit back and kind of be more relaxed and be more calm. And that's what it allows your wife to do.
Yeah, and I was gonna touch on something. When you were talking, I was just thinking we can easily get into this mindset as men, as we're helping our wives. Like if they're
Mhm.
cleaning, we'll like be like, "Oh, I'm helping you clean," or "I'm helping you do this." But realistically, you should not be helping her because it's your household as well.
Mhm.
You're supposed to be just doing your part. So if the house is dirty, it's not like, "Oh, let me help you clean a little bit as well." Say, let me also clean my space. Let me also clean my home. It's not her jobs. That way you're making it look like it's her job and you're helping her do her job. And some families have their rules around their house. I'm definitely not going to knock people on their rules and what they have around their house, but there's some definitely the mental load is a real thing. It's definitely a real thing.
Yeah.
And I've gotten my little taste of what a mental load is, and it's not fun. And just being in that, and I'm like, this is how a woman's mind operate. I'm
Wait, when do you get a taste of mental load?
like when I have so my closest thing to a mental load, I say my taste is when I have so many things to do. I don't even know which one to do first. I'm like, oh, I gotta
Mhm.
make sure I gotta do this, I gotta do this, I gotta do this, I gotta do that, I gotta do this. Oh no, I forgot I gotta do that too. Where do I start? And there's many times like stuff like that. Or if I'm home with the kids alone, I'm like, okay, dishes needs to be done. One of the kids just pooped. One is crying right now, screaming because she's hungry. You know what I mean? I'm like, bedtime is in an hour. I gotta figure this out. Oh, there's toys all over the floor. I gotta put away the food. And I'm like,
Yeah.
this is what you guys go through on a day to day basis, especially a stay at home mom. That's the day to day.
Mhm.
That's the life. And then even moms who are working, they think while they're working, they can't really sit focus on work a lot of times because they're like, okay, what am I gonna do when I get home? What's for dinner? What are the kids gonna eat? Are they gonna stuff? Do my husband have anything planned for the night? Is it just me tonight who doing this? You know what I
Pretty
mean?
much, yeah.
So it's like, oh, is he gonna be out with his friends tonight? Am I gonna have to feed him? Is he gonna be hungry? So stuff like that. It's like, how can we reduce a lot of that? Because how would be nice if that same mom who's like, oh, what's for dinner? What's for that? Comes home and dinner's already made. The kids are eating, it's fed, And a lot of times, a lot of men, they work late hours,
Yeah.
so they can't have that done.
But you could
Once
do it in other
Well,
ways.
other ways you can do that, even if you call in the in-laws, call in mom, call in dad, and be like, "Hey, my wife's been working crazy right now. If you could come and help us out, either take the kids, give us some time to have a time alone, or if you can just help get some dinner, or even if you wanna one night just order some stuff in, just surprise her and be like, hey, I'll just call and be like, hey, dinner's taken care of. Don't worry about dinner. And I won't be there, but I'm getting some stuff catered in
Yeah.
for you and the kids, so you don't have to worry. At least that thing's off your plate. Not everybody's in that phase where
Yeah.
they can do that, but
Or having systems like when you were working your 2 jobs, it was really tough, but then you started like, you would cook breakfast on the weekends, and then you make, like, dinner on the weekends pretty much, or we do it together,
mhm,
and then I attempt to make dinner throughout the week, and, I cook breakfast and, like, lunch and all the things for the kids, like, 3 times a day during the week. And then you do it, like, on the weekend, or we share it, or, like, we do it together, or buy food out or whatever the situation is, and just having those systems where it's like, it just works. So you just need systems at work.
absolutely. And in that way too is that in the evening times, one of the system that we have is when you make dinner and stuff like that, don't have to worry about the cleanup and all the extra stuff because you know that when I get home,
Yeah.
that's all that's gonna get done later. The
Yeah.
kids are gonna be sorted out, all the cleanup after the dishes, whatever that you couldn't get to is gonna be
Mhm.
sorted out. So you don't have to be like, oh, I forgot the dishes in the sink, or is that so full? Clothes gonna get folded, stuff like that,
Yeah.
right?
And I know that sometimes it doesn't get done. Like, even if I were to be here, sometimes it just wouldn't get done. But if the opportunity is there to do it, obviously, and then you do it. And then that's just so relieving. Like, there's been so many times I've gone to work, come home, and, like, dinner's done, and you've been making, like, really good food. You're becoming a chef now, or come home at 9:30, 9:45, and the house is clean, or it's, like, 90% clean. And that's just relieving because I'm like, "Okay, great. Now I can just actually just
Mm.
relax, or I can work on so and so, and I don't have to go and do all this," when it's like, why why wouldn't why wouldn't you be doing it? But I know that there's a lot of moms out there that unfortunately are struggling with that, and I just think that there's a lack of understanding that, it's our home, it's our kids, let's do it together, and it's a win-win situation. You win, I win, we both win.
Everybody wins.
Everybody wins. So just one thing, if we could go back to right after having our first baby, what advice would we give ourselves?
Mhm. Right. One, give yourself grace. You're not gonna get it perfect the first time, but at the same time, try. Let your lack of understanding or your lack of awareness prevent you from trying.
Yeah.
Now, when I say try, I mean like trying to do the things that will help create peace within the household.
Yeah.
Because it may seem like a lot of work, and then you feel like you're adding to yourself. Because as men, we like to make things simple.
Yeah.
So you feel like, no, I'm overcomplicating things. I'm just not gonna cause that. So I think in the beginning, what I advise myself is understand your wife, find the gaps, and try to fill those gaps. And honestly, I think that's the big thing. And I think once you get that sorted out, th- give yourself the grace, but at
Mhm.
the same time, don't use that as a crutch to not do the things that you need to be doing.
Yeah.
Seek guidance, seek counsel. I remember when the kids were first born, I was asking Google everything.
Yeah.
Then my son made a weird twitch noise. I'm Googling.
I remember when Genesis was born and she would just breathe so weird, and were so worried.
Always so worried. Google was my best friend. I've Googled everything. Men, understand your wife, figure out what she needs, create again, look through those game plan, not just do it one time, but take your time on your own and lead. Do the things that is required for leading. And wives, make sure that just give your husband some grace and let him know that he will get there. But
Mhm.
also, you also got to be there for him as well when he's going through that journey. Because sometimes he can beat himself up and he might be like, man, as a man, I don't feel like I'm supporting her enough.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I'm doing enough for my family.
Mhm.
Because as men, we want to be providers. We want to
Yeah.
be make sure our family is good. So if there's any sort of hiccups in any of that stuff, we take the blame for it. So women, give your man grace and that side of things because if you kind of beat him down, now he's gonna beat down. He's already done on himself, and then that's gonna put him in a deeper hole, and then that's gonna cause resentment,
Mhm.
and then that's just gonna cause tension within the family or within the household. So it's kind of like giving him grace, but calling him up to a higher standard at the same time. Just commend him on the work that he's doing for you so far. Like if you see him doing something, be like, "Hey, baby, I really appreciate you doing that for me. Thank you." Men like being acknowledged for the hard work that they're doing. And I think those are simple things that can really help strengthen a lot of different things. And then when they feel that acknowledgement, they feel motivated to be like, oh, okay, gotta go do some more.
I have 2 points to add as closing thoughts for, women out there, based on what you said. So, I remember when we first had Romario, and I feel like I'll always remember this, but the time when I was sleeping and you asked me a really dumb question. I think you asked me, "Should I change him or where are
Oh
his clothes?"
yeah.
And I
Yeah.
was trying to sleep.
I was I was half asleep too. I think about it, I was like, wait, why did I ask that again?
Yeah, but number 1, men, like, think for yourselves, your wife is not your
Mhm.
brain. And number 2, obviously, we were in the very young journey at that point, and I know that a lot of women are in that point, not just in the young point, but still in kid 3, and I just feel them, and I understand how things like that maybe, a husband didn't mean to do in, like, a way where it would impede, but he hasn't taken the time and the to really see how those things affect a woman after children. And it's mental load, right? It's like, okay, well, where is this? Or should I do this? Versus like just figure it out and do it. It can develop a lot of
Friction, tension.
unattractiveness towards the husband from a wife. And it can. And all I have to say to that is just if you are in that season or if you ever find yourself in that season, that you can control your actions and your attitude and be your husband's helper. Like pray over him and tell him these things. Try to bring these things up to light with kindness. And that can be really hard. I know for me, especially, that can be really hard, but try to bring these things up with kindness and the way that you bring these things up. And obviously, if you're trying to solve this and it's not being solved and he's not changing, that's a whole other thing. But I'm just saying, like, if you find yourself in certain things that maybe are of annoyance to you, just try to bring them up in kindness and just try to be like, hey, you're doing really great with this. Like you mentioned, like that. But I'm seeing a lot of this and it's affecting me. So that's just point number 1. Point number 2 is that for the moms out there with postpartum depression and you're just at the very rock bottom, the lowest low, you just don't know how to get forward from where you are right now and maybe you just don't see any joy in life. The one thing that helped to me is number 1, I read the book called The Breakthrough Code. And number 2,
Captivating was a good one.
no,
No.
The Breakthrough Code. Because it just gave me hope that small little actions in my day-to-day life would just transform everything. And it honestly did. And for me, that looked like I just focused on reading maybe just 1 page of a book in that season where I felt like I had 0 joy. And I just started to read little by little, a self-development book, and even if it was just 1 page, that was a win. Like, I would just read the 1 page, and then I would just go about my day still being sad, and then slowly, just the consistency of it started to just raise my self-image, and then from there, I started to listen to, positive things little by little, and then that grew, and then just different things, and then I was just start to be consistent with helping my physical body. And so if you are in a situation where you are in that, I just encourage you to just find little things that you can do every day, small little things, even if it's just a paragraph, because it's the mentality of consistency over anything else. And so if you can just find small little things, maybe it's a walk, maybe it's something that you can build upon, it will make you feel good about yourself. And so you'll get through it. And God will bring you through it and you'll have a powerful testimony. I think that's it for today. I think hopefully you took something out of this that you can apply to your life or that you can take note of so that when this season comes for you, if you want it to come for you, it will be fruitful and you will have a lot of notes and just wisdom to come into it and just crush it and be great parents. If you enjoy this episode, make sure you like it, make sure you subscribe, make sure you share it with your friends and your family. Make sure you comment down below. And our social medias are linked in the description. And yeah, we're excited to keep doing this and we want to hear from you. So
See y'all in the next one.
bye.